to be caught. Here I come now, let's play hide and seek. Riding on the playground, no one dares to make a sound. Round and round and round and round, no one wants to be first found.
Days into the University of Idaho murders, and the driver, who was likely the very last man to see Maddie Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez alive, is speaking to News Nation tonight. The Uber driver who brought the kids home the night of the murders, Kaylee's family reported that their daughter had indeed ordered an Uber, and now the man who drove them is revealing exclusive details to us about that ride home and what the girls said. Tell me what you found.
So, we've got Steve and Christy saying that it was, well, first Christy Kay said Uber driver, and then Steve corrected her, and so did Olivia, that it was a private driver, and that they picked them up from the house and brought them down to the bar, and that they were the ones that picked them up at the grub truck and brought them home. Well, now it's an Uber driver, right? Here is what they're saying. And there's another one I'm going to play for you that says it is a driver that drives for the sororities. Like that's the job. And I'm like, okay. So we've got an Uber. Oh, and let's not forget about the rideshare. So now we have the rideshare too. So there's 4 different things right there. 4. This is ridiculous. Let's hear what he has to say.
To find this rideshare driver. He's one of only about 4 here in the Moscow area. So I was able to track down that phone number and give him a call personally, speak to him. I asked him point blank, hey, are you the guy who drove Kaylee and Maddie home that night? And to his credit, he was very transparent, very honest, very open, almost immediately with me.
Understandably, he has said
Almost immediately with me? Did he have to coax him? That sounded weird. I wonder if this is a company that's out off the Palouse, because there is a couple guys out there, and I believe they're on the Palouse down over there.
that he is very concerned. It's a small community. He doesn't want to be on camera, but he was very revealing in what he told you about that ride home. Start there. What did the girls talk about in the back seat?
It was actually a rather innocent conversation from the beginning. You might remember that he picked up these 2 girls from that grub truck. It's the food truck that's located right in downtown Moscow. And really, he said that was the center of their conversation. The entire 5-minute ride home was about their mac and cheese carbonara that they were planning on splitting when they got back to the house. He said that he's picked them up in the past, not only these 2 girls, but Xana as well. And he said that in the past, they've talked about boys and drama and college life, but not this time around. It was just a very normal, innocent conversation about their food and how they were going to share it when they got home.
Because you guys you have to remember, right? It was an unusually quiet night. It seems it was unusually quiet everywhere, even in the back seat. And they're used to jabbering away. Now they only talked about their mac and cheese. It's so weird. Everybody's got the same story but different. You know what I mean?
Knew them. He had them in the car multiple times before. This is a small town, so if they had taken an Uber a couple of times, it would be likely that he'd be the driver. And he said, indeed, he knew them. He knew all 10 of them.
Said that obviously, as one of only about 4 rideshare drivers in this area, he picks up these girls a lot. And not to mention, we already know that this is so close to Frat Row, and of course we've reported that this is a party house, so a lot of times students would come here. And so he said that Susanna that Haley and Maddie were no strangers to them. He's given them rides home from the bars, home from work, home from school. So he knows them. He has driven them before. But back again to this, he said that there was nothing out of the ordinary that night, that right now or in that moment that it was just an innocent conversation. Of course, the Frats were bumping on a Saturday night, but here at the
They were bumping on a Saturday night. That was weird coming out of his mouth. First of all, if they were bumping on a Saturday night, we would have heard them on the police body cam. Don't you think? I mean, we heard some music here and there, but nothing like it. I mean, if you've heard the live, if you'd seen any of the party body cams with the cops that like Landis put out, or JLR, or Plunder, the whole thing, I mean, literally, they are loud. Like you can't even hear yourself think over these videos. And so why didn't we hear them? I mean, Matt, allegedly, that's where, Saeed and the other guys came from. It was a house party, right? I mean, they were on the hill. That stuff would have shouted out right across that field. You would have heard everything. Where was that sound? Where's the amphitheater now? I mean, where was it? What was going on? I mean, they say it was a bumping party, bumping Saturday night or Sunday morning, I don't know. There's something else he said in here too that really got me. Oh, he also said Rideshare again in here instead of Uber. So this brings me to when the Adam Lauda stuff first came out, I Googled it, of course, and I found he had a YouTube channel. Well, on his YouTube channel, he only had 2 videos, and like they had like maybe 6 views on them, like they had like nil on them, And one of them was about, he was doing this spiel about, like he was standing up behind like a desk, and he was like talking to like an audience or something, and he was telling them that he was what his plans were, and behind him was a flag of Spain, and he was saying that he was going to be going in the next couple weeks, and which was like he did this. That video was I think I keep wanting to say it was like 8 days before this happened, but he was saying that he was going to be going to Spain and opening up his own franchise, I guess, of Uber, and it was going to be Uber Eats, like he's going to be. So basically, here's the thing: it's basically a rideshare driver and a DoorDash driver all in one, is what that is, and that was Adam Lauda. And I've got some screenshots of it, but I never even thought about video, at the time, videotaping it. Well, I didn't actually screenshot shooting it. I didn't even know about screen recording yet, so that was all new to me. I mean, I didn't have a clue. So the other one, he was, it must have been for a class or something, because it was a body language course that he was taking, and he was his project he was doing or whatever was on the plane. I can't remember what it was called, but it was that big plane that went down and killed all the people, and then the airlines didn't want to take responsibility for it. Well, it was the pilot who was talking in one interview, and so Adam was reading his body language. Oh, and it was terrible. Oh my God, I have the actual transcript of that one, and it's just bad. I mean, if he passed that class, then the classes are easy at Idaho State or University of Idaho. Because yeah. Anyway, so those are the 2 things, and also early on as well, it showed Adam Lauda who took a fencing class. Like sword fighting. I mean, he was in his gear and everything. So, and that's gone. I haven't seen that forever. So, was Adam the driver? I mean, they said they knew him really well. And here's another thing too. Jack Kanovich was also said to have been the one driving, and that makes some sense because he was he was pledging, so he was a fresher, and what that Reddit I had that I read the Reddit was looking for this guy was asking for different things to do, new things to do with what they do with freshers to make them, just to piss them off basically. And like for instance, one of them is they'll make them clean the house all week longer in this case, like until they pass for months. I swear to God, some of them are like, I mean, some of the things I've heard are just terrible, but and if they don't clean it right, then it's even worse. But basically what they do is they'll give them, so there's a picture of Pete, and he's holding this humongous rock, and it's got some saying or something on it. Well, that's one thing they'll do is they'll start out with a really small little pebble, and then they keep getting it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you're carrying around this huge rock. And they have to keep it on them at all times. They have to always carry it around and act, it's like they have to, like they're babysitting it, I guess. Well, one of the things they did do is they would make the freshers, the pledges, drive them around. They had to stay sober, and they had to drive the drunk guys around. And so that's why Katovich, I always thought it was Katovich that drove. So, and then that's the other one. What's the other one? The sorority. I have another video on that I'll put up here too. So that one was weird too. But anyway, let's keep going here.
Also, it was quiet, and he saw nothing out of the usual.
40 days into the university.
Whoa. He said it was quiet? Did he just say there was a party bumping? The frats were bumping? Okay, is it quiet or is it bumping? Is it an Uber? Is it a rideshare? Is it a private? What the hell is it? Is it a Elantra? Is it a Toronto? Is it what is it? God. No wonder, people just coming into this case, no wonder they're so dang confused. I mean, we're still confused, and we've been here forever. Man.
Of Idaho murders, and the driver, who was likely the very last man to see Maddie Mogan and Kelley Gonzalez alive, is speaking to News Nation tonight. The Uber driver who brought the kids home the night of the murders.
God, she's annoying. So the driver was likely the last man to see them alive. Is she outing a woman or something? Is that what she's saying? She's saying it wasn't the driver? What is she saying? Come on, Ashley, spit it out.
Information, but please brace yourself. These details are graphic. Please note the following information that I'm about to share with you can be found on Fox News' website in this publication. They've shared that their family is currently raising funds and hope to have the public step forward with information. They say that they would like to offer a reward for information and possibly hire a private investigator at this time. Steve shared how he paid $10 to get a copy of his daughter Kaylee's death certificate, and on that death certificate it did have more details into how she died. Steve shares that the victims had big open gouges that were clearly the work of a sadistic male and called police cowards for not sharing this information with the public. Steve shared with Fox News how he asked the coroner, Kathy, how many times were each of the victims stabbed? And Kathy's disturbing response, she says, "Sir, I don't think stabs is the right word. It was like tears, like this was a strong weapon, not a stab." She continued in saying that the wounds were big open gouges. These weren't something where you were going to be able to call 911. Steve shares the knife slashed open Kaylee's liver and lungs. The coroner also told him that the perpetrator had to have been a strong individual, but the police have yet to identify the suspect's gender. And lastly, the coroner, Kathy, had shared that the toxicology reports have not come in at this time. Today is December 12th in the Idaho murder case, and Kaylee's father...
I heard that he got ashes back, that they cremated them. I mean, that's not their right to do that. I mean, isn't that illegal? I mean, seriously, that's got to be illegal. I also think it's weird that he had to pay $10 for her death certificate. I mean, the university should have paid for that at least, right? I hope he sues the hell out of him.
But to feel bad for them. Maybe so easy. They're cold, too. Yeah, these are cold. Hello. It says one of the owners of us here. Okay. Do you live at 1122 Queen Street?
Okay, so here's another one. Is it king or is it queen? Is it road or is it street? I mean, the cops seem to want to call it queen, yet it says king in the police reports. So, could someone make up their mind and stick to it? I mean, I get the confusion. I get, how it's, laid out over there, but I mean, what's the address? What's the mailing address? And why don't you guys use it? Another thing I'm going to pet peeve about is, on this video, this cam, is that they have a ride-along driver with them. And the guy is asking them weird questions, even saying stuff about a girl's titties. Excuse my French. He said it. I'm repeating it. He would ask them weird questions like, well, what if you do if they don't come out? Or, I mean, just personal kind of questions, right? And I get it, he's a rideshare driver. Maybe he wants to be a cop. Maybe that's why they do that, right? But do they put them through some type of a background check before they let them ride along, especially in a college town? Especially, going rolling on up to a sorority house? And, I mean, he's talking to Maddie on the phone. Maddie's giving Maddie is giving him her full name, possibly even her phone number, her date of birth. And this guy's standing right there listening to it. I mean, he even talks about grabbing the booze and going and taking it and drinking it. I mean, it's like, who is the rideshare guy? That's what I want to know. I want to know who the rideshare guy is, because I thought that's just weird timing. It just all that seems so wrong to me. I mean, there's got to be some type of background check or something they do on some before they let them in their car and let them cruise around with them. I mean, God, these guys could do anything, even to a cop, saying they're riding in the back seat. I mean, they could. I mean, I guess they're like a barrier between the two front seats, but still, I don't know. It's just weird. Oh, I just ate a piece of popcorn. Gonna hear crunching for a minute, because I'm not swallowing this thing whole. Ow! I just bit my lip. Oh.
Yeah, I do. Okay. So, hey, the reason that we're here is that we received a noise complaint of loud music, partying. Okay. Once we approach the house.
Do you guys hear any music right now? No, because everybody ran from this house and they went to another house to party. And if they go to that house to party, then they'll run back to this house or to another house. That's just what they do. And I remember partying. I mean, I had a boyfriend who went up to UW, and my God, we were always running from house to house. That's just the way it was. And these guys know this, right? They know this. So why, if there's no noise there, and quite frankly, it wasn't really even that noisy when they pulled up. I mean, the time when JLR was there on he was there, I think it was one of the parents' weekends after the year after, and oh my God, it was so loud. I mean, he was walking down the street. He was up by Queen Road, and he was walking down in front of the King Road, and there was people walking past him, just one after the other walking past him, and people were yelling. In fact, one of them was Emily. Emily apparently was pretty hammered, but one girl was like, Emily, and she just gross calling her, over and over again, And I mean, it was loud, very loud. So where is the loudness right now? I can't hear it on here. I do agree that people should not be at that house while they're not there, and that's a huge thing, right? So they roll up on this house, and although I do believe, I think I did hear Kelley, but now I don't think it is. Now I think it's Haley. Haley used to be a roommate with Maddie over there, right? And so I don't think I did used to think that it was Kelley, but then as I'm going on and learning more about this case, right, and learning the people in this town and the ones that were surrounding them and the old roommates and things like that, they all have similar names. I mean, there's like duplicate names. I mean, it's crazy. And so I think she was yelling Haley. I'm almost positive now, because I don't think the girls were there. And I think that happened a lot. And I think that's why, Kelley wrote inside of her things I value list that her alone time in her room, and that told me that she didn't even get alone time in her room. Why not? Why didn't she? Was she not allowed to close her door and lock it and not let anybody in? Because I think that's the problem. Because I don't think it was their house. I think that house is a frat. They use it's their satellite house. It's an annex house, which is a fraternity house off campus. And people, yeah, for sure, you're allowed to go in there. I mean, they rent it out, right? But that doesn't mean it's yours. Like, you have to have an open door policy. And I have an article I found that I'm going to actually put up here. And they talk about that. It says girls' sorority house, and they talk about how even the alumni, like, they'd wake up and these guys would be sleeping on their couch. I mean, they'd constantly be throwing up in their kitchen sink and so on and so forth. I mean, that's... How do these guys even graduate college? I swear to God, I would have been so... Oh, man. I have to have quiet when I study. I mean, even when I do my videos and things like that, I have to have it quiet. I can't have a bunch of stuff going on around me. And I've always been like that. And I don't know how people study with, like, this banging music going on and on and on. I don't know how people study like that. I just don't. Okay, we'll finish this up here.
People started running away. They left a bunch of alcohol behind. We're not even coming for alcohol. We're coming for the noise complaint. And then we sat here for approximately...
Then why are you dumping the alcohol? 21-year-olds live at this house. They don't know whose alcohol that is. They're actually... They're, like, tampering with their property, with private property. I mean, they don't know whose that is. In fact, Hunter Johnson, who actually is kissing butt, yeah, I think he's a butt kisser. He's not even in college right now. He's just at that house. He graduated. If indeed he even graduated. I mean, everything's so false in these reports that who knows what's what anymore. In fact, I can only find, there's only a few pictures, not very many, of Hunter in the fraternity he was in. And why, if he's in another fraternity, why is he hanging out with the Sigma Chi guys? And also, there's a picture with all of the Sigma Chi guys in there, and Green, when they were doing one of the scholarship type thing, giveaways or whatever, awards, and Hunter was in the freaking picture. He had on a sweatshirt that said alumni on it. And it's not the first time I've seen him in that sweatshirt in pictures, but why was he in a Sigma Chi picture when he's a Delta? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. And even Green was in the photo. Like, it was a dinner or a meeting or whatever they do, and when they give these things away or award these to the guys, I don't know, but seriously? That's I mean, chapters are chapters. They stick with their chapter, right? Apparently they don't do that in Idaho. And the guy next to him, so the one that was talking with Hunter, or comes out of the house and with Hunter and blah blah blah, he's also a Sigma Chi guy. His name's Connor, and it's like, I think Connor Harrison or something like that. Anyway, and he was also, was he that year? Yeah, he was actually a pledge too. So he was a fresher that year as well. So he would have been, getting hazed as, that, was he? Maybe he was a sophomore at that point. He might have been a sophomore at that point. Because this was Ethan's second year. Even his parents said he wasn't really good at schoolwork. That wasn't his thing. He liked socializing, which I kind of happen to think that maybe he was dyslexic or something. He had a hard time learning. But maybe, here's the thing, maybe he's like me. Maybe he couldn't concentrate on his studies with all the noise and all the constant chatter and the freaking drugs and the alcohol and you name it. I mean, people constantly around you. I could not have handled it. No, I could not have. I would have flunked out big time. So I get that. It was difficult for Ethan. And I'm not dyslexic. I mean, I have my dyslexic moments like we all do, but not like that, So
10 minutes trying to knock on the door, no one would come to the door until these two gentlemen came down and actually answered the door. So, and what's your first name? Maddie?
So yeah, the guys are gentlemen. They come down and answer the door. They're the good guys, even though they don't even live at the house. And the owners, from what they're saying, aren't there. Well, Bethany's definitely there because she answered the freaking door. So and she said she'll get that she didn't live there. Well, she's a liar because she did live there. So I mean, how do you trust anybody, really? I mean, she lies from the get-go. She lied from one of the first moments we saw her. She's lying, and to the cops. No, I don't know. I think she knows the cops because when she shut the door, there was a look on her face, almost like a nod, like a acknowledgement to the cop that whatever it was, whatever that transfer in facial expressions or knowing or whatever it was weird. And you have to put it on slow motion to see it, but it's definitely there. Have we even heard from Bethany? No. How come Bethany is so protected? And how come they threw Dylan under the bus? That's crazy to me.
My legal name is Madison. It's Madison.
What's your middle name, Madison?
May, M-A-Y.
Okay.
So the rideshare driver is standing on the other side of that car, the white car right there, kind of up towards the front, like where the arrows on this video right now pointing. It's basically pointing right at him. So he's listening to everything that they're saying.
What's your last name?
Mogen, M-O-G-E-N.
M-O-G-E-N?
And dumped out every can of White Claw and Truly and all sorts of other things that they found.
Well, come on, Ashley. We don't need to know about that. We don't need you talking and jabbering. We're going to just shut you down.
These murders now, we're digging everything up. The police are digging everything up. But, I just think back to when I was in college, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I was at parties where the police showed up. We tried to be quiet once in a while. And we're looking at this now in retrospect. At the time, a lot of college kids get themselves in situations. They weren't hurting anyone. They weren't driving. And like you said, when you hear Maddie's voice, you just can't help but to feel bad for them.
Yeah, exactly what you said. They weren't hurting anyone. They weren't driving. Yet they're threatening them. They're harassing them. They're dumping out. Those are expensive. They don't just come. They're not free. And I mean, threatening them with losing their funding if they don't come answer the door or come to the door or shut or be quiet. That they're going to turn them into the school and they're going to lose their funding. I mean, God, that's a little drastic, isn't it? Seems drastic to me.